Today's chapter is chapter 1 of No Big Dill, which is Isabella Proctor Cozy Paranormal Mysteries, book 4. And I use the acronym DMV for Department of Motor Vehicles, and I have since been told not every state uses that. So that's what it is, Motor Vehicle Department, where you get your driver's license and stuff. Also, not filming in the middle of the night, so you're gonna hear cars go by. Let's just call it ambiance, atmosphere, and go with it. All right, chapter 1. It will be like a mini vacation. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, right. I was sure Delia didn't think the worst thing that would happen was murder, but then again, who expected murder around every corner? I was standing in line, waiting to check into our room at the Charles Bank Hotel in Boston. This mini vacation Thea and Delia had talked me into was a conference for small business owners in New England. And that was me, small business owner. I didn't know what to expect from the weekend. I was hoping to meet more apothecary owners and maybe sell them some of my less magical creations. My shop would benefit from selling more items that I didn't make as well. I was nervous about spending a weekend away from the shop and my clients, but I was pretty sure they'd make it without me for a couple days. The strap of my heavy bag began to hurt my shoulder, so I set it down. There were hundreds of people in the lobby, and it didn't even seem full. It was loud enough that I couldn't hear the fountain in the middle of the room, and despite the room holding half a dozen couches and many more chairs, there was nowhere to sit. In the middle of the room was a bar with 2 very busy bartenders serving the people in the lobby. Conference participants were standing around chatting, and it seemed like everyone knew each other except for me. Part of the weekend was dedicated to meeting other business owners, so maybe I wouldn't feel so left out by the end of the weekend. I just wish this check-in line would move faster. Every time the hotel doors slid open, the stale lobby air was replaced by the worst parts of low tide and bus exhaust. I was tired already. Tired of standing in line and tired of holding my mental shields at full strength every second to protect myself from the buildup of ambient magic found around any large city. I felt a tap on my shoulder and turned around. Joyce Ogilvy, owner of Beach Candles in Rye, New Hampshire, smiled at me. Her dyed red hair looked as unnatural today as it had the first time I met her, when she wanted Trina to carry her candles in the apothecary. "Hello, dear. Have we met before?" "Yes, Mrs. Ogilvy. I'm Isabella Proctor. I run the Portsmouth Apothecary now." She was about to say something when a crash caught our attention. I turned toward the noise and saw one of the conference displays lying on the floor. Next to the display was a flustered-looking Caroline Arneson. The room was almost silent. "Not as sturdy as it looks," she said with a little laugh as she picked it up. "Oh, that woman! My poor dead husband couldn't stand her, and now I see why," Mrs. Ogilvy said. I looked back to Mrs. Ogilvy, whose smile had changed to a frown. I wasn't a fan of Caroline Arneson either. She'd been pressuring me to sell my shop from the moment its former owner had died. She claimed she needed the space for her own business and that I would beg her to buy it in a few months when I realized I couldn't handle the work. In fact, I loved the work, and the apothecary was gaining new clients every week. There was no way I wanted to give up my prime location in Market Square. Not only didn't I want to sell, but I felt like I would somehow be abandoning Trina's memory if I relocated the shop. "She's an embarrassment," Mrs. Ogilvy continued. Caroline Arneson had a hard life, and not many people knew. Her husband beat her, and she was unwilling to leave him. Now that was something I didn't understand. She acted like she had all the self-confidence in the world. Maybe self-confidence wasn't what she needed to finally stand up for herself. I tried to help whenever I could, but she never took my advice seriously. It didn't stop me from trying, though. "I don't know. I don't like to make hasty decisions about people," I said, We never really know what's happening in someone else's life. Ogilvy pursed her lips. I suppose you're right, but still, a little decorum goes a long way. I can help the next guest, a hotel employee said. I was surprised to see she was speaking to me. Good afternoon and welcome to the Charles Bank. Are you here for the small business conference? I smiled at the frazzled-looking young woman. Yes, I am. Isabella Proctor checking in for myself and my two cousins, Thea and Delia Proctor. My two cousins who thought it would be funny to let me stand in line while they walked around. I handed her my freshly minted and possibly not quite legal driver's license and business credit card. One moment, Miss Proctor, while I check you in. It wasn't that my license wasn't legal. I got it from the DMV, except I got it after hours from a man who owed my boyfriend a favor. Maybe Detective Steve Palmer was my boyfriend, but maybe not. I didn't have a better description for our relationship at the moment. I made him dinner once, grilled cheese and tomato soup. He took me to the park for an evening picnic and to watch a play. Twice that night we almost kissed, but it never actually happened. It had been over a month since our picnic, and our schedules hadn't permitted us to spend time together. Anyway, he caught me driving without a license over the summer, and rather than arrest a friend, he arranged for his buddy at the DMV to give me one. It wasn't something I went around telling a lot of people. And you're all set, the woman said as she handed me back my license and credit card. You're in room 498. Take the elevator to the 4th floor and turn left. I took the key card she handed me and smiled. I gave a quick wink to Mrs. Ogilvy as I passed her and went off in search of my cousins. I found them in the gift shop, looking at a display of high-priced, low-quality tourist merchandise, everything having the word Boston slapped across it, one way or another. The shop had the usual $8 mini toiletries, travel pillows, candy, and magazines too. Thea picked up a snow globe and handed it to me. Look at the price they're charging for this, she whispered. I carefully turned the globe over to read the price tag. $50. I cringed at how little the people who assembled the globes would see of that money. Not sure you'll be able to get the same price in Portsmouth, I said. I set the globe down and held out their key cards. I'm going up to the room. Here are your keys. You got through the line already? I thought for sure it would take at least an hour, Thea said. No, it only felt like an hour, talking to the woman behind me and watching Carolyn Arneson knock a display over. Delia puckered her face. Is she here? You heard the crash earlier? That was her. I wonder if she's here for the conference, Delia asked. From the sounds of it, she's gotten an early start on her weekend. It's not even 4 yet, Thea said. It looked like an accident to me. Anyway, I'm headed up to the room, I said. I'll come with you. We might as well unpack before dinner, Thea said. I wish I could say our room was something spectacular, but it was a regular room with 2 double beds, a bathroom, bureau, and small table. I didn't plan to spend much time in the room, so I didn't care. Who gets to sleep alone tonight? Thea asked. We settled the question with our age-old method of peaceful conflict resolution, rock, paper, scissors. Delia threw rock, and Thea and I threw scissors. Yes, Delia claimed as she set her bags on the bed closest to the window. I unpacked my overnight bag and sat on my side of the other bed. I'd only gone into work for a couple hours in the morning and wouldn't be back in until Monday morning at 10. Even though it would be tough schmoozing with so many people all weekend, it was at least a nice change. It was nice to get away from Proctor House, too. My apartment building had over a month of reconstruction work before it was habitable again, and I was counting the days. Don't get me wrong, I loved my family, and they had made some serious strides in treating me as an adult who could live her own life however she wanted. But living with them wasn't the same as living on my own. I wasn't sure I was ever going to be able to pry my cat, Jameson, out of the house, though. Everywhere he turned, someone wanted to scratch him, make him a special meal, or ask him his opinion on a complicated piece of magic. Obviously, he was not just any cat. He was my familiar. Jameson was over 200 years old and was absolutely convinced he knew more than the 7 Proctor witches put together. He may not have been wrong. Jameson stayed in Portsmouth for the weekend, and I already missed him. I didn't realize how often I turned to him to chat or ask questions. But since he was at home, I also got a break from our training schedule. He made me work hard every night after a full day at the apothecary, learning new spells and how to enhance them with the amulet from the sorority of Bouchard. He said I was doing acceptably well. I thought he didn't like to give out compliments and that I was doing great. I'm bored, Delia said. Let's go down to the bar and watch people. Okay, Thea said and headed for the door. Hold on. You're not wearing that, are you? Delia asked her. Thea looked down at her holey sneakers, jeans, and t-shirt. I look fine. Sure you do, if you're about to go clean out a musty basement. If you want to make a favorable impression with other tour companies, maybe not. Thea sighed. I didn't pack much that looks nicer. Delia grinned. I didn't think you would. You know how you tease me all the way down about packing too much for one weekend? It's because I had to pack you decent clothes too. Thea rolled her eyes. Fine, whatever. You tell me what to wear and I'll put it on, but I don't know that I'll like it. Delia rummaged through her bag and pulled out a navy cashmere V-neck sweater, dark wash jeans, and a pair of black leather flats with a silver toe guard. Try this. It's about as plain as I could make an outfit. I could tell Thea didn't hate it, because when she came out of the bathroom, she had a tiny smile across her lips. Thea, you look great, I gushed. How had Delia managed to find clothes that fit Thea perfectly? Delia slipped past Thea and changed into a black dress and cropped a green sweater. My heart sank because she looked great too. All my clothing had been ruined in the apartment fire, and I'd been slowly replacing what I could with thrift store finds. I hadn't found much. Delia handed me some clothing. And in case you thought I forgot you and my great shopping extravaganza, I didn't. I took the bundle and spread them out on the bed. A red sweater that was strikingly similar to my favorite sweater, and a pair of black dress pants. You bought me clothes? Delia handed me a pair of short black heels. And shoes. She's just embarrassed to be seen in public with us, that's all, Thea said. We laughed, and I managed not to smudge my makeup with tears of gratitude. You're the best. My clothes also fit perfectly, but I knew why once I felt the tingle of magic when I put them on. You enchanted the clothes. It's a spell I've been working on for a while now. The first time you put the item on, the spell will adjust the clothing to fit you as though they'd been tailored. They also won't stain, and you can brush any dirt off them and they'll look brand new again. Clever, I said. I might never want to wear anything else. Delia blushed. Jameson has been helping me with it. I don't think there's a spell in existence that he doesn't know. And I brought enough for each of us for the whole weekend. She was probably right about Jameson. Okay, let's go down and meet some boring businessmen. Or at least have a glass of wine before dinner, Delia said. As we rode down the elevator, I considered having a glass of wine. It might be nice to cut loose a little tonight, since I wouldn't be training with my cat. The door chimed and slid open. While we weren't the only people with this idea, the lobby was empty enough that we could hear the water in the fountain. Let's go sit over there, I said, pointing to the table nearest the fountain. We sat, and one of the bartenders came to take our order immediately. Good evening, ladies. I'm Marco, your waiter. Can I start you off with a drink? I'd like a glass of Malbec, I said. Same for me, Thea said. Delia paused for a moment. I'd like an espresso martini. Marco flashed us a smile. I'll be back in a moment with those, and I'll leave you with our menu. He's kind of cute, Delia said. You've got no chance with him. He's judging you for that silly drink order, Thea said. It's not a silly drink. I looked it up, and it's one of the top 10 drinks people order. It's not my fault if I don't want a glass of red wine like you two stodgy old ladies. Marco returned with our drinks. He also brought us a platter of cheese and crackers. He smiled at Thea. The cheese is compliments of me. Can I get you anything else to eat? Since when do waiters give out free food? Delia set her menu down. Can we have an order of the curry chips and an order of the soft pretzels? That sounded good to me, so I handed him my menu. Of course. Ladies, how nice to see you here, interrupted a short man. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place him. Marco walked off with our order, and the man joined us. Mr. Branham, how nice to see you, Thea said. Evan Branham, Portsmouth's assistant mayor. No wonder he looked familiar. He waved to Marco and made a hand signal for another drink. Nice to see some hometown businesswomen here this week. Of course, you'll say great things about Portsmouth to everyone here, right? We're ripe for some franchise opportunities in our growing city, and if we can bring in 3 or 4, that'll be a good weekend's work. We? Was he expecting us to bring in businesses? Do you want to join us for a drink? Delia asked. He took a glass of beer from Marco. Oh, can't right now. I've got to get to work. We'll talk later this weekend, though. Once he walked away, I looked at Thea. How did you know who he was? She rolled her eyes. He's been trying to get us to do a tour based on his house and farm for the last 6 months. He swears it's a historical landmark, but won't provide any proof. Might be good to have the assistant mayor owe you a favor, I said. Delia shook her head. Spend more than a minute with him and you'll want to go bathe. He's got a way about him that neither of us wants to deal with. Marco returned with our appetizers. We're closing the outside dining for the evening. It's just started to rain. I hoped the rain would dissipate some of the older magic I could feel. We're happy to pay for the cheese board, Thea said. That's not necessary. I was hoping to trade it for your number, Marco said. I did a double take. Of the 3 of us, Thea was always the last to be asked out. This was a nice change. She took his phone and put her number in it. I was about to ask him where the closest drugstore was when I heard a familiar voice across the room. The 4 of us turned to see Caroline Arneson arguing with Joyce Ogilvy. Caroline stood up from her table, so Joyce was no longer standing over her. Do you know why I don't carry your candles? Because they're cheap, and my customers don't want them. I beg your pardon. You heard me, Caroline said. Cheap. Your wax is so full of air that when customers pick the candle up, they know they're getting ripped off, and the candles will be gone in almost no time. Joyce looked Caroline up and down. Your customers should be used to buying cheap. Before they could come to blows, Marco stepped between the 2 women. I have a table for you, ma'am, right over here. If you could follow me. He took Joyce's arm and forcibly escorted her to the table next to us. Joyce looked to the 3 of us. Oh, it's you again from the line. Did you hear what that awful woman said to me? Everyone in the lobby heard what the 2 of you had to say, and I hardly think this is the time or place to pick a fight with someone you don't like, Thea said.